Welcome into the latest edition of ESPNFC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. I don't know if you gentlemen have heard, Julian Nagelsmann got sacked at Bayern Munich. Thomas Tuchel is now in charge ahead of the Klassiker this weekend. We're starting to piece together exactly how it all came about. Here's the timeline as we now know it. On Sunday, Salihamidzic believed in Nagelsmann until 11 p.m.
Yeah, he was having a pizza. Having a pizza, went, nah, this is working.
And then on Monday, analysis of recent results identifies a negative trend. They did win 4 of the last 5.
Was that a surprise on Monday?
Well, apparently. Tuesday, they decided to call Thomas Tuchel for a 5-hour meeting. On Wednesday, they agree a deal with Tuchel. Thursday, news leaks out before Nagelsmann is told. And then Friday, Nagelsmann is relieved of his duties, announced Tuchel as manager. Now, what's been interesting is what we've been hearing from some of the management around Bayern. Salihamidzic on a TV programme in Germany saying we have goals that we want to achieve. Above all, we want to play better football. The performances weren't right lately. We want to break this negative trend. Of course we want to win titles. That's quite clear. We have to win every game, he continues, and have big goals. The circle of suitable coaches is small due to the fact there was one available on the market now. We dared to take this step. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we, Mark Ogden and Jan Arger Fjordhoff joins us. Jan, why are we hearing so much from the Bayern hierarchy? Why do they feel they have to keep justifying this?
Because they got very bad conscience. Because 21 months ago, they used or spent 25 million euros to get Julian Nagelsmann. On Monday, so this is the day they found a negative trend. The Monday, President Heiner of Bayern Munich said, this is a long-term coach. He is doing a fantastic job for the club. He's going to stay here. Salihamidzic put all his reputation, which is not that big at the moment he did it, but anyway, he put all his reputation to get Julian Nagelsmann in. He's going to live there forever, he said. He's going to stay here forever. So after 21 months, they finally find out that Thomas Tuchel is living next door to Sevenerstrasse, where is the training camp of Bayern, and they find a negative trend after they beating PSG, Stuttgart, Union Berlin, Augsburg, and then they had a bad game in Leverkusen. I would say it's so far, Dan, that if Bayern Munich as a football team is in the quarter-final of the Champions League, the communication strategy of Bayern is in League 3 in Germany. I saw the whole press conference. You can't believe what was said there. Oliver Kahn, not only Salihamidzic, Oliver Kahn was using all the smart words that he had learned on some course to try to justify why they got Julian Nagelsmann out. Julian Nagelsmann could win 3 titles, the Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Pokal, the Cup. He will probably end up only winning a double if they left him alone. And they're talking about a negative trend. No, this is all about Thomas Tuchel. They wanted to get Thomas Tuchel in, and they felt the pressure. And it's not only Salihamidzic. They have all the old people, Hoeneß, Rummenigge, everybody was in that meeting on Monday after they lost faith sleeping. I wonder if they had a sleeping pill or something before they did this decision.
We talked about this on Thursday when it broke, and nothing's changed. You know, all these words, big words, long statements, but at the end of the day, just come out and say, look, we thought Nagelsmann was the man. He was the most talked-up coach. We don't fancy what we see. And oh, by the way, we don't want to lose Thomas Tuchel to some other club. It really isn't difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, this 11 p.m, he's still in the plans, sort of nonsense. What kind of nonsense is that?
But where was Thomas Tuchel going to go? It wasn't like on Monday he's going to wake up and then suddenly be the next Real Madrid manager or take over from Pep at Manchester City. There seems to be this massive urgency from Bayern all of a sudden.
But they just didn't fancy. They just didn't look.
No, but the way they're selling is it's like we had to get him now. He's one of the best managers in the world. We've got to get him.
Well, he is, but they just didn't fancy Nagelsmann, and they're worried about some of the results. They're worried about Borussia Dortmund. They're worried about the Man City game coming up, and they're worried about next season.
There's a lot of worries.
There's a lot of worry. Yeah, they just didn't fancy Nagelsmann, and they think Thomas Tuchel, Jan, is a better coach, I would imagine.
Yeah, and that is fair. Just say that. After 21 months, we found out that this man didn't have the experience that we thought. Mind you, he was 33 when they hired him, but that's another case. But there is a lot of unplugged thing going on there. They didn't like that the Bayern manager came on a skateboard to training. They didn't like his suits. They didn't like his training gear. They didn't like that he got divorced and dating a Bild Zeitung journalist. Does it matter? Of course not. I'm just saying that press conference, I've seen many funny press conferences, but that took the prize for me. And it's fair to say that we're coming up to these games, big games against Dortmund. They lost 10 points to Dortmund in 2023, mind you. They had 2 great games against PSG. They were a lot better than PSG. And now they're playing Manchester City. And they have more or less taken away 2 titles of Julian Nagelsmann. And then Salihamidzic was on TV, German TV today, and he said, "Oh, I love this man. I look forward to be his friend in the future." Okay, my friend, get another friend.
Yeah, who needs friends like that, eh? Looking at it, Mark, obviously you were at the Bayern PSG game. Who would have thought that Gaultier would still be in a job and Nagelsmann not?
Well, absolutely. Look, I don't really have a problem with this. I think, like the guy said, it is what it is. It is that Bayern really saw that Tuchel was available. And the negative trend was, well, you know, Bayern aren't top of the league, but they're not top of the league by 10 or 12 points. They're actually second right now. So that is a negative trend for Bayern Munich. And I can see, you know, there were rumours quite a while that not that it hadn't lost the dressing room, but he never had it in the first place. So, you know, when you add all these together, you can see why Bayern have made the decision. Now, I think the Champions League game against City is part of this as well, because, you know, Tuchel has a good record against City in the Champions League against Pep. Now, I'm not saying they've made a change of manager just based on that, but I think that Bayern maybe look at the Champions League this season and realise that there's not really an outstanding team in it. So if they can make a change that makes a 1 or 2% difference to their chance of winning it, then make the change. You know, Nagelsmann will get a good job somewhere else, and, you know, he's a highly rated coach, he'll get another go. But maybe it was too soon for Bayern Munich. Maybe he was just too young to take on a squad of players which is used to winning, is experienced, probably knows more than Nagelsmann, certainly won more than Nagelsmann. And that's always a challenge for a coach that hasn't got the winning CV to go into a dressing room full of winners. And, you know, we've seen it so many times. So I don't think it's that bad a decision, but it's on Bayern Munich just to be a bit more honest and say, look, this is why we've done it, because Tuchel's out there, he's a great coach, he's a Champions League winner, so that's what we want. And I just think if they're being ruthless, just say they're being ruthless. Nobody's going to think less or more of them, because the Bayern Munich, people's opinions of Bayern Munich are set in stone, so it's not going to change. Just tell us the truth.
So yeah, so it's the timing is funny, but ruthless is this game, and ruthless it will be. Fair enough.
Maybe Bayern just figured out, worked out how boring the international break is.
That, I think, is the...
I mean, that could be it.
Let's give us something to talk about.
Let's stir up the pot, otherwise the chaps will have nothing much to talk about.
Stevie, what if they lose against Dortmund?
Yeah, they won't.
Oh.
Just because it's Bayern and they spend 20 million on them, this goes on all the time. Right. And to be quite honest, at the end of the day, I'm not that shocked. Let's be honest. Nagelsmann hasn't managed to get Bayern in a smooth way of playing since he got there. You talk about changing formations, changing who plays where, who plays left, who goes on the... I mean, you actually wouldn't know what the Bayern Munich first team is.
Right.
Because of all the changes and the different styles of play. So, listen, he's had plenty of time to have Bayern Munich where they should be and playing the way they should. And when I say playing the way they should, I mean sort out your style of play, how you want to play, and then perfect it. And then if things are going wrong, maybe you can change the way you play. But if you're continually changing it and asking players to 1 minute do one thing and then the next minute do another, then don't be surprised when things start going wrong. And they've been getting away with it because they've got such good players on the team. They've got ability that they'll always win a certain amount of games that will keep them up the top of the table. So I'm not entirely shocked, to be honest.
And the other side of the coin is, and I don't know how much is in this, but his rhetoric to Hoffenheim, as it was, or RB Leipzig, maybe gets sneered upon more at Bayern because you are talking to superstars. And I don't know if he changed his approach to speak to these players or whether he used the same sort of technique and terminology, and maybe quite a few of them are behind the scene going, you know what I mean, kind of almost sneering at him a little bit. there was always a possibility going in as such an inexperienced manager with all these big stars in there. And when you start making all these changes as well that Stevie was talking about, and we know that he's done, that makes other players question if he's up to the task as well.
This is what Joshua Kimmich had to say about Nagelsmann. I can only say that Julian Nagelsmann is an outstanding coach. He's easily in my top 3 best coaches. I can say that coach has not lost the dressing room. I've already been through a couple of coaching changes. It wasn't the case that it was indicated internally in the dressing room because the players were dissatisfied. We were surprised. Thomas Tuchel now very much in his top 3 for sure. Jan, what are you hearing about the relationship he had with some of the senior players, in particular, of course, Thomas Müller?
Yeah, exactly. And Dan, if you do remember, we talked about when Manuel Neuer went to this terrible ski trip that took off the whole season. By the way, Julian Nagelsmann was skiing when he was told he was fired. That is just a funny sidekick here. But then we said, or I said on the show, I said that I'm a bit afraid that this is a rookie mistake from Julian Nagelsmann, because what he did with Manuel Neuer, they went straight to his throat. They fired his best friend, Tapalovic, who was the goalkeeping coach. And I remember we said, and we discussed that, when the goings get tough, who's going to be there to protect Julian Nagelsmann? It was not Manuel Neuer, and it can't Manuel Neuer was also Thomas Müller. And to Joshua Kimmich, just a small thing there, again, it's a ski holiday. Joshua Kimmich was on his holiday, and Julian Nagelsmann passed him and visited him, and the older players, as they do in a soap opera called FC Hollywood, they didn't like that. So Joshua Kimmich was his kind of first choice as a captain. He wanted to build that team around him. But rookie Nagelsmann lost the elderly players, and rookie Nagelsmann was not seen from the hierarchy at the club to be good enough to fire the old boys. So you understand that the pressure is there, but still, and Mark's point is very good, that he didn't lose a dressing room because he never won it. It was a draw.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.